Bad movie drinking game. 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 Bad movie drinking game.
I'm going to kick Bison's ass.
I don't think so.
You'll have to do better than that.
Okay.
Welcome to Bad Movie Drinking Game, the show where we watch a bad movie and build a drinking game for you so you can enjoy it to its fullest potential. I'm your host, Kurt, and with us today is Mel.
Hello.
Franklin.
Hey.
And Brian.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for having us here.
you.
Very
Yes.
much. It's an honor to be here.
Yes, it is. All the way from Chartown.
That's what we call. It's exactly what we call it.
The Charred City, right?
Charred City.
No, that's Atlanta.
Right.
Oh, that's a Sherman joke.
Oh.
All right.
Highbrow. all the way through.
Nice. All right. Well, we're gonna watch another disaster fire tonight. We're gonna watch the 1994 Street Fighter.
Oh.
Oh.
If you've ever want to see what a man looks like when he does cocaine for years on end, look into the eyes of Colonel Guile in this film, because it is amazing.
Raise your hands if that's what you wanted. To see a man who's been on cocaine. No.
Never it.
All right, let's do it.
What does it feel like?
I'm a little apprehensive. I have not actually seen this movie since it came out in 1994. I saw it one time in the theater, and even in my young age, I was like, no.
Oh, what did you pay for this? Were you excited about this?
I
We all paid for it.
You could argue that some of us are still paying for it. Yeah, Street Fighter is a debt you never work off.
The sharecropper of movies.
I actually worked at a movie theater whenever this came out, so I saw it for free, but what I did not spend in money, I did spend in sanity.
But you've seen plenty of Street Fighter over the years.
I
as well,
have,
like
I have.
a legitimate Street
Yes,
Fighter.
I'm a huge fan of the game franchise, the Capcom game franchise, that this movie bears no resemblance whatsoever to. So if you are hoping for that, then I'm afraid you're shit out of luck, friends. Yeah, you'll do better to just watch Assassin's Fist. That's really good. So I'm gonna plug that. I'm gonna
Just plug the good movies all
That's
night.
right. I don't know how to do this.
Brian, now, what was your first experience with this movie?
I don't even really remember. It was sometime between 1995 and 1996 that I first saw this. But it's a very hazy thing.
It feels like it
And
lasted that long.
This might be one of those movies that I saw in chunks.
And
Not
you just
that
build
it,
the plot in your mind.
it doesn't make it any more or less intelligible.
The actual plot of this movie is just the third act. It's
a
all
real
set
slow
up.
burn movie.
It's all set up, and then everything that happens in the movie happens in 10 minutes.
I remember there being like 3 or 4 different movies kind of compressed into one.
It's almost an ensemble cast. It was supposed to be a Jean-Claude Van Damme film, and it just turned into, oh wait, he's too tired from doing coke all night last night.
And I think he was doing more than the coke.
That's right, Kylie Minogue.
Who wouldn't?
I had forgotten that she was even in this. Like,
Yeah.
I was just like, whenever you told me, I was like, who? Wait, from Australia? She's in this? Who is she?
So
There are no
what-
Australian Street Fighter characters?
The locomotion chick.
Michael, how did you experience this movie?
I had it on VHS.
Is that how you
And I
saw
watched
it?
Wow,
Yeah.
watched it in
Wow.
the very worst format possible.
Or maybe the best. It cut off the
Was
sides.
it pre-owned
Oh.
Blockbuster that you got?
I don't think it was.
Oh, you paid full
I
price.
think I saw this in the theater, and this was, I'm a little bit younger than you guys, so this was during the period where movies would just enter my skull, and I would just accept it. I was like, yeah, that's how movies are made, right?
Before you learned you could fight back?
Basically, I just remember being like, yeah, that's how you adapt a video game into a movie, right? That's perfectly fine. There was no resistance to anything.
Little
with
did
this.
we know at that time this was highly unacceptable.
But remember what this was coming off the heels of. This was like the, I think, second video game adaptation we
think it
got
was.
behind Super Mario Brothers, which
Yeah.
set
Oh.
the bar. It's like the bar was buried in a field somewhere. It was
Yeah.
so
Oh
low.
God.
Yeah.
When
So-
you said coming on the heels wheels. I thought you were gonna make a reference to like Desert Storm.
But that's important too.
That's where we were as a nation.
That's very
Like, we
important too,
were
because
broken.
There's a lot of that in the movie.
Mario Brothers probably set that bar that you were talking about. Probably set the standard of every video game adaptation for the longest time up until very recently. Is how do we make this movie? Oh, we write a completely different story and we end on them arriving at the characters they are in the video game.
There you go.
I'd call them the Super Mario Brothers.
But to their credit, every single adaptation since has been marginally better than Super Mario Bros.
That's true, but they all
Which
do
is
that.
not saying very
Not
much.
at all.
They
I've
all-
attended funerals that were better than the Super Mario Brothers movie.
It's for every funeral I've ever been to.
Huh.
It's one of those weird movies that, like, when you're a kid, you know it's terrible. Like you said, Street Fighter, it's awesome. I'm a kid, I don't know. Super Mario Brothers, we all came out of that like, that was it. That was a bad one. I never thought. But so Street Fighter, by comparison, in 1994, looks like it's going to be okay.
You guys have not seen this movie in years. I'm super excited for you to see this again because
exciting is not the word I would use.
I think you're gonna like this a little bit better because I think you're gonna see through now that you've seen a lot of movies. You're gonna see like, oh, this was clearly there were problems when they made this.
I'm certainly going to be seeing it through the filter of alcohol.
Why are you making me watch this?
Research. You fight next.
Let's go ahead and go over the rules
Yes, indeed.
for tonight's episode.
Every time the nation of Shadaloo is mentioned,
Look, Shadaloo Tom.
The Civil War in Shadaloo.
In Shadaloo City, no one tells me anything.
There is a 7 p.m. curfew in Shadaloo City.
or appears on screen, you take a drink.
Anytime a character pulls off one of the special moves from the game itself, take a drink.
Anytime something bears the image of M. Bison, or something is named after M. Bison, take a drink.
Anytime there's a monologue going on, take a drink.
Whenever a character appears for the first time and is completely unrecognizable when compared to the video game counterpart, take a drink. And when a character finally appears in a costume that looks pretty much like the video game counterpart, take a drink.
And as a special addendum, anytime Bison does a cape flourish, finish your drink.
Anytime a monitor is the subject of the shot, take a drink.
All right, so put your quarters on the console. Here comes a new challenger. It's time for Street Fighter.
So put your quarters on the console. Here comes a new challenger.
Pick up that used cartridge you bought and then blow it and then put it into the console and hope it works because we've got a new challenger.
Put in the DVD and get drunk.
Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy Street Fighter.
Sorry I talked you into all this.
I'm sorry I listened.
Wait, come back!
Come back! No, I like that place. He can fight Yoda on that thing.
Really? Loosely.
What is it now?
Oh, Vega!
He looks exactly
He
more or
does,
less like
even down to the snake tattoo.
Now here we take two drinks.
Whoa. Here comes Ryu and Marty McFly.
I'd like to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative. Hey, Temple of Doom.
You should be so lucky.
Hey, it is the Temple of Doom. Look.
Shit.
I answer to the Maharaja.
Finally, the first fight of the movie. Ah, damn it.
Oh, that's
Reports of street fighting.
all right, Street Fighter, pull it over.
I think this was a move from the game.
Sucks. You guys are good guys. Like us.
Even Ryu can't believe that's the line.
Hey guys, I think I figured out why this is such a bad Street Fighter movie. They're making a Sin City movie.
No one has ever seen you in combat.
Certainly not us.
No one's seen any of you in combat.
I guess he didn't see that video.
What a jerk!
Hey, man, I got feelings.
ETA landing zone 12 minutes.
Such a good actress.
So are we to believe that the same thing that turns Blanca green turns Dalsum into, like, stretchy arms?
Yes, because science.
I love movies.
She's never looked at me that way before. Why was that necessary?
Nope.
You could throw a sonic boom. Or you could pull a tiny knife. That's a move from the game, but it's not one of his moves.
Right.
That's also a move
That's
from a thing called breaking.
Now there we go. Now we're talking. Flash kicks.
Raul, I love you so
You
much.
know what move stops the Psycho Crusher every time? The Sonic Boom. Hey, he did the Hadouken, yeah, sorta. And he did the quad dive roll.
Actually, the spicy kind of reminds me of the end of Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
It has that quality. I think it's the bulging eyes. This is the last day of filming. It's like senioritis.
Hey guys, what if we just did this?
Hey, I know those characters.
Oh, that's what this was?
Some of those are win poses. Some of them.
From all of that whole movie, what did we learn about street fighting?
I learned that we should not have done this.
We learned that good conquers evil as long as evil overacts good.
It's not hard to overact everybody else in this movie when your name is Raul Julia.
Or West Studi.
Or West Studi.
Their
He's
combined
the unsung
efforts
hero of this movie.
overtook everyone else.
Let's not forget Miguel Nunez Jr. He is having a blast in the background of this movie.
Oh, right, yes. Yeah.
He's like, I've got an accent, I've got a motivation.
It's true.
I'm Jamaican, I want money, that's it.
He was ceaselessly entertaining and not at all offensive.
The best facial expressions.
It's
all come from him.
Him and Zangief are a great comic partner.
They're a good pair.
Who would have thought? Like, playing that game, I never would have thought they would have been, like, the comedic duo of this movie.
There should have been a feature where you could have put the two of them on a tag team in one of those games.
DJ and Zangief are the R2 and 3PO of this movie.
Yeah.
If you know this, then why do you serve him?
Because he paid me a freaking fortune, you moron.
You got paid?
Yeah, Zangief has like very few lines of dialogue, but he's enthusiastic for Bison. He's like, this is where it's at, guys. We've got room for growth. Everything's gonna be perfect. We're going to make the world great. But he's an idiot.
The collective farm back home will be doing wonderful.
And then in the very last segment of the movie, he just suddenly becomes a good guy. And I love that everyone else, even though they're not even remotely sharing the screen at the moment of that realization, just goes, okay. Right. He did hold that door open for us. What a gentleman.
Who are the stars of the Street Fighter games?
Ken, Ryu, Chun-Li, Guile, Bison. Those are your major dudes.
I would shove Guile out of it.
They created him literally
He's
so
not
that they
as
can appeal to American
ancillary as
artists.
Dalsim or Blanca.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like it's the Ken and Ryu show.
You know, I would argue that anytime anybody does an animated series or like a TV series,
legitimate movie.
Yes, absolutely. Ken and Ryu are almost always your focus. They're always your center.
Are you saying Legend of Chun-Li is not a legitimate movie?
I am saying that.
Who's the lead of what we just watched?
That would be JCVD.
You know, the funny thing is, I feel like he could have played any character because he's clearly not American.
He probably couldn't have played Kenny.
He could have played. He could have played Dolph.
Don't worry,
That could
I'd
have
like to
only
see
been
that.
done by Kylie Minogue.
That's yes.
So when Stephen E. D'Souza said, "I'm going to make this movie," he went to Capcom. They're like, "We want to fit all these characters in here," and he's like, "Whoa, slow your roll." There's a reason why we only have 7 samurai. There is a magnificent 7.
Yep. 7 Up is one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's like there's 7 dwarfs. That was the other one. He's like, there's 7 dwarfs. Those are the most important
comparison
characters.
he made?
Yes.
That's a terrible comparison.
And
they were good fighters. They were skilled fighters.
That's right. And
I must not have seen that version.
And he's like, let's focus on 7 characters, and that's it. And by the end of the film, they had every fucking character you can think of in this movie.
They leave no stone unturned. But the stones they unearth are fairly dirty and covered in mold.
There are bugs under the stones.
And there are a few stones and they go, should we? Oh no, let's put that back.
Oh, yeah.
T-Hawk.
T-Hawk.
Wow. And here's the thing. T-Hawk was never even cool in the game. So it's just, I'm sorry to any T-Hawk fans out there. I know there are 3 or 4 of you.
T-Hawk, who are those 2 men?
I gotta be honest. This movie's not half as bad as I remember.
Here's
it's a bad Street Fighter movie, but if you like divorce
it's
yourself,
a bad Street Fighter movie, or it's the worst?
It's a bad one because Chun-Li is the worst Street Fighter movie.
That's pretty bad.
But,
yes.
Right?
I will concede.
There's no joy in that movie.
So it's a bad Street Fighter movie, but if I divorce it from Street Fighter, which is really remarkably easy to do, all things considered, it becomes a fairly generic JCVD movie that happens to star a terrific thespian.
Mr. Raul Julia, yes.
Yeah.
The best villain he's ever
and
done.
a great
against.
Australian pop star. Who cannot act.
How long is that list?
One deep.
What do you guys feel about Backstories completely set up by exposition? like E Honda and Balrog both.
Balrog, they like, man, I used to be a boxer.
Yeah. So
man,
what
I
happens
used to be
is
a sumo wrestler.
Yeah. Ken goes.
Remember back in that video game we were in?
E Honda, you used to almost make Yokozuna. He's like, yeah, until M. Bison ruined my career, and then goes, and my boxing career too.
How does one do a movie about M. Bison ruining their careers? Like,
Exactly,
why would he even do that?
And how did he go about it? What does he like slip?
You will be nothing more than a cameraman now.
It's like,
Good luck, Balrog.
yeah, take a fall in this fight and use the funds for a local community college course in digital photography.
Good luck getting a job anywhere with a name from a Tolkien book.
This is like the only movie I've ever seen that did not attempt to cram a love story into it. Like isn't that just par for the course with everything?
I mean,
they try and
in the
crowbar.
90s special.
They tried to imply some post-movie, commingling.
There's a scene where Cammy is like, I'm very happy that you're not hurt, Colonel Guile. And he's like, yeah, because I'm Colonel Guile. And then she's like, yes, good you're not dead. And then he walks away from her. And then he's like, Chun-Li, what if you interviewed me dressed like a whore? Like, he immediately is like, I'll take Cammy's praise, but I want the Asian girl.
And the funny thing is, like, playing that game, I never would have thought Guile would have gotten all the tail in the game.
Yeah.
But he does in the movie.
Yeah. Because he's Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah,
That's why there's no love story. Because he gets the 2 girls.
Yeah,
there's no love story because we don't need it because we know he's going to get it.
And the 2 girls hate each other. Oh my god.
They're so catty.
Yeah, the only 2 lines of dialogue they have against each other is
did not pass the Bechdel test.
Not at all. One time they said like, you look shitty in that color. Black doesn't suit you.
Right.
And then
And then she made fun of her hair.
And then she goes, pigtails, really? And she's like, you should check yourself. And she goes, oh, I guess I am sort of wearing pigtails.
Yeah, she was wearing ox horns at that point.
Yeah, and then I was like, this movie does not like
That's the point at which they should have just fought.
Because, I mean, let's be honest. If they didn't even have time to manage street fighting in their Street Fighter movie, what were the odds that they were going to be able to pull off a love story? It's probably for the best that there wasn't one.
It wasn't a love fighter.
Let's talk about Bison's plan.
Which is what? So he wants to make Bisonopolis.
Yes.
He wants to have his own form of currency, which looks
Bison
suspiciously
dollars.
like Monopoly money or the Joe Camel cash that some smokers might exchange for things.
He also wants to create his own Winter Soldier.
Yeah, he wants to in Blanca, which... Yeah. I mean, like, if they're all going to look like that.
Let's not forget his most nefarious plan. He wants to build a food court.
Yeah, the big food court plan.
I love that he's a man of ideals, but he's like, look, we should make room for capitalism in this.
The food court should be larger. All the big franchises will want in.
Somebody's gonna want to put a Great American Potato Company in this thing.
So we know
we're not monsters.
We know Bison is the villain because he's on a hovering platform.
The cape was an indicator too.
The cape is a big thing. The hat with the wings.
Yeah. Anytime you have skull motifs going on, leaning toward the bad side.
But if you take all of that iconic imagery away, he's just a man who wants to build a food court.
He's got a bunch of hostages. He wants $20 billion. And then
which they did not pay. I think it's important to point that out.
They did not pay.
Clearly, those people, not worth it.
And then later, he tries to pay someone in his money, and he's like, these dollars aren't worth the paper they're printed on. And he's like, they will be worth 5 English pounds after I kidnap the queen, which is a whole nother plot of another movie.
Yeah, how do you intend to do that?
He makes the Joker's plan from The Dark Knight look downright reasonable.
He's like a mad juggler, and he has like 10 balls up in the air at any given time, and he's like, at least as long as I have one of these balls up in the air, I will still come out on top.
Well, he's like one of those guys that amassed a lot of followers because each one of those followers heard like one part of the plan. They're like, that's a good idea. But then when they hear it all together, they're like, wait a, what did we sign up for?
Let's talk about Guile's plot to fake his own death.
His long con?
His long con.
Yeah.
So
yeah, what a joker that guy.
Spent a long time on that too.
That was one of the things I thought the movie really captured well. That the games like really focus on Guile's propensity for like just practical jokes.
That was some of the most convincing acting in the film.
The airfield level in the game. It's just like practical joke haven.
Guile has Ken and Ryu pretend to kill him in a prison escape so that they could get him close to Bison. Meanwhile, Bison thinks he's dead.
Don't ask us how that makes sense.
But Chun-Li discovers him in the morgue, just laying there silently until she shows up. So like he is
pulled a Tony
committed.
Wonder. He just sat in that thing until somebody said Wonder and he popped out.
He is committed to this con. Like,
do you think that was in the script, or do you think John Claude Van Damme was like, I need a few days off?
I think he was really just unconscious and happened to wake up at that moment. Kind of like Brad Pitt's character in Snatch, where he just immediately sits up and he's going, "Need a drink! Need a shite!" Like, it was like that.
He hasn't even removed his squibs yet.
Some chunk of cardboard.
Yeah, you gotta wonder, looking back, you gotta wonder what the point of that was. I mean, do we really need that?
What do you mean trick?
Yeah.
What was the point of the deception?
There had to be a faster way to get there.
If they took that out of the movie, it wouldn't have been long enough.
Oh.
There is that.
And Ken and Ryu couldn't have done whatever it is they managed to do in that bazaar that they go to later.
They stand around in the background of every shot, and then they're just at the end of the movie fighting.
Remember there's that scene where, like, literally every character but Bison and Guile are just chained to that, like, rail. And, like, and they're there for, like, 20 straight minutes just watching the movie unfold.
That's how you know you've got too many characters. Alright, I don't know what to do with them. Just chain them to the bar.
Exactly. At one point in the script writing process, it's just like, oh, God, we gotta chain these people to a bar.
We have Benny the Jet. He would have made a great stunt double.
It would have been cool had he been in, a fight scene.
You know, that's really sad that they
would
did
have
not
been cool
incorporate him.
if any one of these characters had been in a fight scene at some point during the movie.
A movie called Street Fighter, there was surprisingly little actual fighting.
There were very few streets, let's be honest.
A lot of laboratories, a lot of caves.
There's
the
a couple
locker room
fights.
fight.
Dungeons?
I remember the locker room stage
Certainly.
in the original game. I do remember that.
Yeah.
It's like China, locker room.
They actually filmed 2 rounds of fight scenes. They filmed some in Thailand where the local fight choreographer said, "We're not gonna film your game fight moves. We only film authentic fight moves."
Video games didn't have the credibility they have.
Exactly. Just like comic books. They're like, no, we know how fight scenes work. That's like the summary of Hollywood in the 90s. We know how story works. Don't let your color rags influence you. So what they did was they filmed basically all just straight to the point kickboxing scenes. And then they had to rebuild the entire set in Vancouver and try to film them with game moves. And then everything they refilmed got mostly cut out because of the MPAA.
Okay, so what did we see? Because it feels like neither game fighting nor real fighting to me. Where does what we saw fall?
We saw you can land a kick to the midsection. That's what the MPAA
that
approved.
always works.
Definitely a lot of that
always
happened.
works.
Can anyone here tell me how Vega was defeated?
In the movie?
In the movie.
He was punched to sleep.
He fell on his own blades.
must
But we
have missed that
couldn't
part.
see that because you couldn't show any blood in this movie because apparently the MPA made them cut that out.
I wouldn't have known that.
Okay. Well, now here's the deal. The video games were never bloody, though.
That's
I've been
true.
playing these games for forever. They're the reason I had a C average freshman year in college. Which is not here or there. But they've never been bloody. Like, whenever Blanca jumps on your shoulder and, like, bites it, and whenever, like, Vega, like, prods you with the thing. Like, those are the only 2 moves that elicit blood. Nothing else does. I don't understand why they felt like this isn't Mortal Kombat, where the whole objective was to just drown in blood. Like, I don't see why they cared.
I don't think anybody knew the difference back then.
I have the greatest amount of sympathy for Stevie D'Souza because the other thing is that he wanted to make sort of a harsher movie, and Hasbro said, "Oh, we already converted all of our G.I. Joe line into Street Fighter movies, so this has to be kid friendly. So if you don't make it kid friendly, your money's gonna be a problem."
I would argue that it's not anyone friendly.
Now, who wants to go home? And who wants to go with me?
If this film existed in an alternate universe where it won an Academy Award, what category would have to exist for it to win the Oscar?
I would say best use of vinyl in costume design.
Oh, wow.
Because M. Bison's the only character who gets a costume design credit at the beginning of the movie, and let's be honest,
He has the best costume of anyone.
with his like Denny's booth motif that he's got going on. But I mean, that's a fine costume. all things considered.
There's a good chunk of the budget in that. They didn't spend a lot of time working out how to get Ken and Ryu into
Definitely no. And I'd say DJ is a close runner-up on that vinyl costume design thing, because I mean, like, all the vinyl went into that.
This has got to win for best promotional material for the Mortal Kombat franchise.
Just give up on us. We don't matter anymore. Just remember that guy who could make things freeze? He's way cooler.
Anybody.
I would say I would give this the Academy Award for most films in a single feature. Because it is a redemption film, a revenge film, it is a comedy film, it is a Good Morning Vietnam parody film.
Good morning, Shadaloo.
A prison break film.
A war film.
It is a I lost my boxing career, so now I work for a major news network film.
It is a I gotta get the major scoop film.
Ironically, the one film it's not is a martial arts film.
So many movies, and yet they couldn't make one that was good. It's like if they took Magnolia and cut it down to 60 minutes.
True. I would have to say this gets the Academy Award for Best Swan Song. I could not picture a movie that is more undeserving and yet more beautiful in the last role of an acclaimed actor. He is amazing in this movie.
He never stops acting. That's the beauty of it. It's like as absurd, as outlandish, as utterly stupid as this movie gets, Raul Julia never ever stops acting.
He's basically like, what is my motivation? Okay, you're like Hitler, but you got like half of a BA in theater.
I don't believe for 1 second Raul Julia came within spitting distance of this game.
The only reason he made this is because his kids were fans and because he wanted to spend time with his kids while he died, which is incredibly sad.
That is.
But uplifting.
It's like Richard Harris taking the role of Dumbledore. He's like, where did my kids understand it?
Every actor who survives long enough will make a movie for their kids.
Yeah.
But they said no matter how low on energy he was, no matter how sickly he looked, he was like, you want to put me on wires and have me fight on a catwalk? I'm in. Like every moment, he just said yes.
He died literally like 3 days after the shooting finished on this movie.
When you're that sick, everything sounds like a good idea.
He may have actually died in that explosion at the end of the movie.
What does the last shot of the movie imply? They are all ready to fight now, but...
Like the street fighting is just about to start.
As far as they know...
It was all a prequel.
We're finally there. We're finally at the point where we can street fight.
As far as they know, Bison's dead.
It's like half a mile away laughing in the bushes. It ends like an episode of Police Squad.
Freeze frame. I was a little bit dreading the source material we were doing today, and when I watched it for this, I'm 100% endorsing this movie. I liked it before. I love it now.
Watch this movie. If you do nothing else.
I would say play the games. The games are outstanding. Not EX so much. But the other games are fantastic. And watch the movie if you have to.
If you want to play a game, play the games. If you want to watch a real movie about street fighting,
watch Assassin's Fist.
But if you're like, hey, I'd like to see somebody coping with the harsh nothingness that is reality, Street Fighter's not bad. Street Fighter is like, okay.
Or you could watch us cope with the harsh reality that is Street Fighter.
For Bad Movie Dream Game, thank you very much for watching. I'm Kurt.
Mel. Brian.
Franklin.
Thank you guys so much for being here. You've come so far. Yeah.
It really wasn't all that far. I appreciated that.
No, I mean, you've grown as a human being, much more than the character
I
in
ain't
this
doing
film.
a lot of that either.
Excellent.
Basically, the way that Blanca is created in this film is that
he has to watch things that are awesome, and then he watches things that are boring to sort of dial it back a little bit.
In order to become...
Because he's just getting a little too cool.
In order to become a good person, he has to watch...
Dolphins, wedding footage, MLK speeches. Those are the 3 things that will make you a good human being when watched in sequence.
Where is our dolphin MLK? The man who gives
the
dolphins
You're
the
not
right...
worthy of a dolphin MLK, sir. You have not earned that yet.
I have a dream that little dolphin boys and little white girls
I probably wouldn't do that.
irrespective of their blowhole locations.
Actually, dolphin MLK sounds like...
He would be
unusable.
He would be communicating to us psychically, let's be honest.
Oh, wow.
Echo the dolphin. I feel like I can talk about this film forever. I'm gonna spend it.
You should feel free to do that. We're going to go home.